Whoops, Sonic Dash 2 got announced while I was working on this video. Sonic Dash, except now with Sonic Boom. Yeah, looks great, looks fun. I hope it has a better launch than Runner. Also, I have to say I find it hilarious that Sonic Boom was created to save modern Sonic, and instead now there's Boom desperately grasping on modern Sonic's success to give itself relevance. Ah, adorable little parasite. Anyway.
Dear Roger, I regret to say that I am unfortunately indisposed at the moment, as I got into a heated argument with some Sonic fans online, who all turned out to be gangsters, and I was to be given a choice. Either get pushed off a pier wearing concrete boots and a dress, or have the head gangster's daughter take my place for one episode. So there she is. Good luck with that. Your dissecting colleague, Luke.
Hey Rog, Pontaff and Graf have been confirmed for Sonic 2. You mad?
Not at all. Let's play a little game. Or rather, let's set up a game that we can play when that game will be released. Pontaff and Graf Boom Bingo!
Yay!
So, this game will be more than ever truly based on a TV show. We see a lot more elements of it in the trailer so far. And unlike the first two games, now we actually saw the TV show. So, Sanzero Games is like, hey, this is an action-adventure TV show. So a game about this series should be about danger and exploring and action. And no, not really. Okay, but so they want an adventure game, for whatever reason. When I think about adventure, I think about engagement. Adventure is about heroes going outside of their comfort zone. You don't do that for no reason. You seek out danger for a reason. Either for duty, I have to save the world, or for gain, finding the treasure, saving the girl, or for thrills, solving the mystery. Whatever it is, it's something engaging, something that lures you in. However, they use the Sonic Boom universe. And Sonic Boom is all about positive detachment. It's Sonic the Hedgehog as written by your kindly grandmother. Ah, why do Sonic and Eggman have to fight? Can't they just be friends? Ah, look at this guy. He's being all radical and cool and excited about his adventures and being romantic and energetic. Why is that all necessary? Why can't they all just be friends and take a nap and eat a burger and be bored and take a nap? So these two styles collide with each other. And to make it even better, this mix-up is written by Pontaff and Graf, who introduce a third style into the mix. Pontaff and Graf, or Pontaff as I'll call them now, are about negative detachment. You know, going on Avenger again. Oh, look at this stupid fat asshole. Oh, look at this lame guy. Oh, Eggman is lame. Oh, Avengers are lame. Everything is lame. Not only does that collide with an engaging adventure, but it also collides with grumpy but kindly Grandpa Sonic Boom. So, three entirely opposing attitudes that are horribly polarizing, yet are now forced into one package. Fascinating. The mixture of the styles caused the usual bitter cynicalism of Pontaff to be toned down in Shattered Crystal, and the characters were nicer. Just, more occupied in how clever they are and how colorful their way of talking is, rather than behaving like actual characters in actual adventure. But whatever. So yeah, aesthetic, narcissistic characters constantly showing off how clever they are. That's the magical formula we get with those three combined, and I don't consider it very appealing. If I'd make a Sonic Boom game, I'd go for more Animaniacs routes. Like, instead of screwing around with old movie sets, it'd be like Sticks screwing around with fake constructed Sonic game or something.
That'd be great, like that Deadpool game, but then Sonic style.
Or, if I'm in a cynical mood, Wait for Annoying People Simulator. Right, because that's what Sonic Boom's about. Mocking and obliterating the structure of classic Sonic. So, a parody would make sense. It would suit Pontaff a lot better as well. They're at their best when they can muck about and harshly destroy ideologies, rather than creating an engaging universe themselves. Mad World is great because Pontaff's sarcastic sensibility. You want to be detached in that game because, you're horribly murdering people in it. But you don't want them to write a real story with engagement. But alas, here they are for the 5th time in a row, with only Sonic Boom Wii U and Sonic Runners as a break from their campaign of hilarity. Fortunately, Sanzero Games promises that this time the story will be better and have real character development.
Oh joy, more Pontaff and Graf character development.
But let's not complain. Let's rejoice! Because we're going to have to deal with this anyway. So here's what's gonna happen. We will make predictions about story and jokes as expected from Pontaff, putting them in the list. Then when the game comes out, let's see the results of those predictions. If the majority of my predictions are true, I get rewarded by not having to make a Sonic in Minutes parody about it, because this entire list is sufficient as a parody. Now, if my predictions fail, this can go into two directions. Either I overshot my predictions, that is, my standards were too high. Let's say, for the sake of argument, in the first game that I predict, despite Lyric threatening Amy to scramble her mind to get the information of the scrolls out of her, we'll never see him do anything really dangerous to her. Then I'd overshot my predictions, because not only doesn't he ever do anything dangerous to her, he didn't do anything at all to get information. If that's the case with most of my predictions, I'll have to make a new parody, and it will be bitter, angry, sarcastic like last time. Third possibility is that I undershot my predictions. I predict Shadow will be stupid and out of character, and hey, he actually behaves properly in the first game.
As long as you ignore the prologue comic, their Shadow is behaving in typical Pontaff graph fashion with the walking up to a random stranger just to insult them thing.
So if I undershot the prediction, then I'll have to make a nice positive parody that celebrates and honors the game and Sonic Boom. So yeah, those are the stakes. Either I'm punished worse, or not punished. Hooray for me!
Let's start. I'll hold up the bingo card.
Alrighty, first, mind control. Sonic games love their mind control. Of course, it's a big theme with Eggman using animals to power his robots, but especially from Unleashed on, it's everywhere. Dark spirits taking over people's minds, the Hypno Beam, the Conch, the Robot Tails, Shadow being mind controlled, even Sonic Runners pulls the mind control card. So no doubt it'll happen here again. And to add a special Pontaff sauce to it, it will have a dramatic setup sequence where it's introduced like a big problem, and then it'll anticlimactically fall apart after the initial introduction and never brought up again in the climax.
So stupid, the idea of Eggman turning Sonic's friends against him is so cool, but it's never used. Except for a gag.
Second, Amy's shiny new personality. First time Pontaff wrote her, she was still the idiotic fangirl she has been since Heroes. Probably as respect to the older games as it was an anniversary game. In the second game, they surgically removed her personality because the cute fangirl is too Japanese for American tastes, and now she's just girl in that game. Ironically, despite this being her smallest part in a Pontaff game, it's the only one where she actually has a purpose, to be the representation of the danger back home. Or at the very least succeeds in having that purpose, because her purpose in Sonic Boom 3DS, where she's damsel in distress, I'm not really concerned about her at all. The third time they write her, it's in the first Boom. Since she's immediately kidnapped, I assume Pontaff was worried that fans would get angry that they have made her weak and useless for 2 games in a row. So to overcompensate, they wrote her like an over-the-top badass archaeologist. So now suddenly she was Chuck Norris! Or at least talks like one, but never does anything. So then we also have Amy in the Sonic Boom TV show. The thing about Sonic Boom the TV show is that the humor and writing style is from completely different perspectives than in the Pontaff games. In the TV show, humor comes from situations. Knuckles and Sticks are the only main characters that are genuine joke generators, Knuckles being stupid and Sticks being random. Sonic, Tails, and Amy, on the other hand, don't create jokes from themselves. They need a situation to interact with to generate jokes. So here Amy's a brainless airhead, or she's the adult, the only competent one, annoyed by the others, or she's the oversensitive mom who's obsessed with making everyone happy regardless of the situation. Okay, so basically Amy's personality depends on what situation the episode is about, and the only consistent thing about her is that she's vaguely mother-like. Her personality depends on how she needs to interact with the events that happen. However, that's great for the TV show, but now it's written by Pontaff, and with Pontaff stories there's always a severe lack of things happening. So I doubt there will be many situations to interact with. Everyone will just be standing around generating jokes from a void, like last time. So that's all the Amy's we had in the past decade or so. So, brand new game, what's gonna happen? I predict there's 2 directions Pontaff can go. Either evolving Amy further from their own thought process, or using the TV show's thought process. If they write her Pontaff style, she will have none of the previous 3 personalities. Each of them were done for a reason that's no longer relevant. Instead, her lack of identity or ability to generate jokes from a void like Sticks and Knuckles will make her an honorary 3rd Pontaff. See, Sonic and Tails are essentially audience surrogates. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Pontaff and Graph surrogates, so they're basically just there to remind the audience that the stupid character said something stupid, and that's why it's funny and why Pontaff are super smart and awesome. Although, to be fair again, the vitriol has been turned down in Boom as Sonic and Tails are a bit more respectful. Regardless, cutscenes are still a marathon of "look how clever I am" tennis matches between Sonic and Pontaff and Graph. That sucks the energy right out of everything. And now, most likely, Amy will join in! Hooray!
So you think Amy will literally become the girl version of Sonic?
Exactly. Whenever Knuckles says something stupid, Sonic and Tails will go into a comedy explanation routine, but whenever Styx says something stupid, now Amy and Tails will go into the comedy explanations routine. Because unlike the TV show, at least Pontaff and Graf seemingly remember that Styx and Amy are supposed to be best friends. But if that's not the case, if Pontaff will try to imitate the TV show's sensibilities, then I predict they'll fully embrace Amy's new mother personality and turn her into a stupid mom. Worry about the well-being of deadly robots, irritate Sonic there's a dirt spot on his shoes, but, annoying mother. Third, anti-satire. Look, I already hate to use the word satire when it comes to Sonic Boom, it's not clever enough for that, but it does have some light satirical elements in it, particularly Comedy Chimp. In the TV show, Comedy Chimp is unfunny, yet everyone loves his humor. That's satirical. That means in order to get the joke, you need to take a step back and look at the context. It's not what Comedy Chimp does what's funny, it's how other characters react to him that's funny. Pontaff does not write satire at all, because that requires people to pay attention and go outside of the box to get the joke, to think. While Pontaff has their jokes only on the most obvious level possible and will hammer the punchline through your skull. In other words, when Comedy Chimp appears, and he will because he's becoming the most popular Sonic Boom character, at least as far as the show creator himself is concerned. When he appears, either Comedy Chimp's jokes will be straight and he's meant to be funny by himself, but I find that unlikely because that means someone that's not Pontaff and Graf Mary Sue's will be superior and that's no good, so they will likely go with the unfunny Chimp. But only Knuckles and maybe Styx and Amy will find him amusing, while Sonic and Tails will go on a long rant to explain to the audience why the joke wasn't funny. And we especially want to hear from Pontaff and Graf how humor is supposed to work. So, next, we have been reassured that the story will be good because character development. Okay, here's the thing, something I noticed lately. It starts to become that the general idea of character development is now used like a magical instant good story spell. Hey, there's character development in it, so it's a good story. Right, but look at heroes like Sherlock Holmes or James Bond or Indiana Jones and such. How much character development do you see in these movies and stories? Rarely.
Yeah.
A point is, a good story about these characters is more about the dynamic between the heroes and the opposing forces than about the characters themselves changing, and I think Sonic fits more naturally here too. Because if you want to throw in character development, ask yourself this: do you want to change any of these characters? Character development is fine as long as you have a point and you stick with it. Sonic Adventure made Tails more mature and self-reliant, and BAM! He's more mature and self-reliant. Character development complete. Shadow and Blaze and Shira's character developments are the core, the heart of their stories. It's about them changing. So what I'm saying is, if you want character development, fine, but then do it. Don't awkwardly throw in some random tension that goes nowhere. Whatever. Pontaff. In Pontaff's stories, roughly only 3 characters exist. The loser, who's fat, lame, bald, pathetic, and needs to be pointed and laughed at. The winner, the Pontaff self-insert Gary Stu, who's doing the pointing and laughing. And if you're really lucky and they're writing a deep and complex story, then you'll get a treat with the third character, the bad guy. He's a guy and he's bad, and then Sonic punches him until he's obliterated from the story. So, character development predictions. With Pontaff, there's usually only 2 possibilities. The loser gets development. The loser, sick of being mocked and made fun of, suddenly gains strength and intensity and has energy, and everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? And then, nothing, and we're back at mocking his stupid face again. Character development. The second is the winner development. The awesome, fantastic, perfect winner of awesomeness is being perfect and awesome and fantastic, but then he's upset that others don't praise and worship him as the awesome, perfect awesomeness that he is, and starts throwing a tantrum like a little baby until everyone feels guilty and apologizes and praises him for being awesome and perfect again. Hooray for self-important vanity, arrogance, and unearned entitlement. How charming. With my predictions, it's either one of those 2. To make this prediction more interesting, now I'm going to make 2 anti-predictions. First, because Sonic Boom doesn't have continuity, character development is extra useless because nothing will stick. Basically, the fact is the only character who can have real character development, only because he's the only one whose personality won't be reset in the next game or TV series, mostly because he'll probably never appear again. So the way he ends in this game will be his final fate. So he's the only one who can actually have development that won't feel pointless. If that happens, if he's the one getting the character development, it's a point to the undershoot score. And secretly, my inner parody maker is hoping that Amy will be the one with the character development, because it'd be fascinating to see the one who's been bouncing hopelessly like an aimless pinball through all the different personalities she had, to suddenly have an identity transformation actually happen on screen. That'll be fascinating. So that'll count as an overshoot score. So those are my anti-predictions. But yeah, never mind, it's probably gonna be Tails getting the Mary Sue development again.
Oh, I love Tails! No, not like that, you pervert! So, what else?
I predict Metal Sonic and Shadow will appear in the game, but not in any cutscenes, just as secret unlockables. It's clear that Sonic Boom Team feels uncertain and uncomfortable around these characters. But they score easy brownie points with fans, and they have the models and animations of the first game anyway, so it's too easy not to throw them in as a bonus. Okay, next. So the robot's name is Defect. Of course, there will be a pun about his name.
Should I be sad that George Lucas has better sense of humour? That is when he gives his characters a stupid name. At least he won't have other characters point out how funny it is. They just go with it.
My prediction is that it will be like this. Look, Tails, Defect has become Defect.
That's irony, folks!
Haha, if only Eggman called the robot, insert comical action.
Yeah, then the rabbit would have insert comical action.
Haha, good one, buddy. Next prediction. Then, will Sonic save Eggman? According to previews, the climax of the story will be Defect going crazy and Sonic needing to save Eggman from the rampaging robot. So imagine a giant Defect causing havoc. Eggman's desperately trying to get him to work for him again. Not being able to admit his own creation would turn against him until Sonic has to desperately save his arch enemy from death for his heroic principles. Dramatic action. Defect is being a big dangerous threat. Eggman's heartbroken that his own robots turn against him. Sonic is an exciting hero. Things happen! Obviously, this won't happen at all. Instead, I predict the scene will go like it did in Sonic Lost World.
Hey Sonic, we need to work together for some reason.
Haha, Eggman, you're a stupid asshole.
I'm not.
Yes, we are.
Haha, Eggman, stupid asshole. Haha, Eggman is stupid asshole. Eggman is a stupid asshole.
Orbot, Cubot, you too?
Yeah, stupid asshole. Smash cut to exciting final boss battle. Yay, the main villain didn't do a damn thing. Sonic's a jerk, Eggman's pathetic. Now I'm really pumped up for the finale. Thanks, game. That's how the build up to the finale will be. Right, Steph?
Yeah, sure, Rog.
Right, so, other quick predictions. Despite being supposedly lighthearted, there will be dark implications and violent imagery darker than Adventure 2 or Shadow ever dared to go. But hey, pretty colors and everyone smiles like a deranged Mickey Mouse, and nothing ever has weight or consequences, so never mind, it's all good. Speaking of which, besides Hypno Beam, expect half the dramatic and violent revelations that are introduced to go nowhere.
Dramatic and violent.
Final prediction. Despite that it initially seems that the game starts as Sonic's just racing robots Eggman made as rivals, and then the Defect going corrupt thing happens later, I have a strong hunch that the Defect thing will happen super early in the game and that the whole racing rivals aspect will be forced and pointless through the rest of the narrative. Kinda like the Deadly Six, they have no real purpose or value to the events, they just show up so Sonic can insult them and have an excuse for a random boss. So, that's the end of my predictions. Can you sum them up again, Steph?
Oh, 1. Dramatic reveal of brain control device will have little impact on the finale. 2. Amy will be either a Soccer Mom parody or female Sonic in personality. 3rd, characters from a TV show with light satirical tones will be explained in detail by Sonic and Tails. Forced character development that only exists in single cutscenes. Probably Tails, not going to be Amy or Defect. Metal Sonic and Shadow are secrets but won't be in the story. Number 6. Defect's pun. 7. The big finale will feel unearned. No exciting build-up, but just the gang being jerks and the villain not leaving any impression at all. The other rivals' robots only exist so Sonic can interrupt his quest to insult them, shove their heads in the toilet and steal their lunch money. Out of place dark, cynical humour in otherwise supposed comical farce. And then 11, something with a dramatic reveal will go nowhere.
Oh, and 12. Something tells me the magical fire and ice powers they wield in this game will have no explanation. Just like the Wisps in Lost World or their energy whips in Boom. I'm a bit hesitant about this, as Pontaff usually explain new gimmicks. The Wisps return from before in Sonic Boom's new series, so they didn't need to introduce new elements. Especially not sticks. But this is a direct sequel, so this prediction may haunt me. Nevertheless, mostly because I don't see an easy way to explain the new powers through what we know about the story so far, I doubt they'll bother to explain it. So yeah, those are my predictions. So when the game comes out, we can all gather again and point and laugh at me about how horribly wrong I was. Jose! Oh, I can't wait for this amazing parade of dramatic setups that have no payoff and characters and plots just jumping in and out of the story with no flow or reason. Isn't that right, Luke?
Right you are.
Actually, you know what? I changed my mind. If I overshot my predictions, I won't make a bitter parody. No. You know, plot holes, bad comedy, Pontaff. They're not the real problems, they're just symptoms. The real problem is the lack of self-confidence, the self-hate. Since Scholars, the Sonic series have been doing nothing but self-deprecating humor and self-deconstruction, and now there's nothing left but detached, insincere comedy rubble. Little comedy breaks after the series games is good, but man, it's just this energy-sucking self-hatred humor, and doing that for over a decade is no longer healthy self-criticism, it's chronic depression. So you know what? No. Me making bitter parodies is not helping matters. Instead, I'll make a positive, here's how Sonic Boom should have been like video instead, if I overshot my predictions. That's right, so you folks can throw Rotten Tomatoes at me as I reveal what kind of horrible writer I would have been if I would write an official story. Whatever. Game set up, let's wait.